Good morning, everyone. This is Tanya Sheridan from inallsassiness.com, and this morning I wanted to teach you how to make these fun, whimsical snowmen glitter-based cards. So we're actually going to make 3 different styles. They are all featuring the sapphire and the bluebell glitter cardstock, as well as our mix-in papers that are available for this catalog cycle. It runs through November and December. So let's break it down, the supplies that you need, and then we're going to work through these cards one by one. So the first thing that you're going to need to create is your shimmer brushes, and these are optional, so if you don't have them, no worries, but if you have them, grab them because it certainly makes a pop factor on your cards. So I have sapphire, bluebell, and clear are the 3 that I'm using in this project. Then you're also going to want to grab your piercing tool and your scissors. And for adhesive, I'm using the regular thin foam tape, the adhesive runner by Close to My Heart, and the foam dot. So I'm using all 3 of those, as well as the aqua glue from Tombow, or you can use mini glue dots if you have that as an option. And then I'm going to be using the clear diamond Stickles from Ranger, as well as a little bit of the waterfall blue from Ranger. Okay, so, and then of course the sequins. These are our bluebell loose sequins, and they are absolutely breathtaking. So those are also included in your kit as well. Okay, so let's get started. If you're a part of my Joys of the Season event, then this is project number 2, and you're going to open this package, pull those out. I did include three photographs, so you have a very detailed, oriented close-up photo of each of the cards, because I know that sometimes it's a little bit hard to see online. And then you're going to open your pouch, and inside your pouch you're going to have 3 cards. Those are each individually sealed so that the pieces stay together. Hopefully that will make your creating your artwork a little bit easier. Okay, so you're going to see that there's 3 of them. The first one that we're going to do is the one with the twinkle twinkle. So we're going to pull that one out. We're going to slide the photographs aside. And I'm going to put the sample right up here so that you can see that as we work along. So I'm going to open my pouch and pull out all the pieces. Now, this piece I have already splattered for you. So you will see that it looks like this. It looks a little bit different than the sample because when the sample was made, the Bluebell Shimmer Brush was not in stock yet. And it is now thankfully in stock, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I wanted to take advantage of that. Now this is going to be built straight on or directly on your card base. So we're just going to pull out the pieces. We have the base piece. You have your snowbank piece that has already been pre-stamped for you in sapphire ink. You have a couple of snow flourishes. There's 1 of each color. You have your sentiment. Of course, you can stamp another sentiment if you want. I did stamp it in sapphire ink, and it is on French vanilla cardstock. So if this sentiment doesn't work for you, no worries, just switch it out and you'll be good. So you have a little snowman, you have the snowman's hat, and then you have the snowman's body, which is going to incorporate the arms. And then you should have 2 small little pieces of pattern paper, and they do flip. It's the same piece, so it just depends on which one that you like the pattern better on. So I actually like the pattern of this one better for me. It just kind of depends on where you cut it. So I'm going to start by getting some of my big pieces out of the way. I'm going to put my adhesive on, and this is going to go on the bottom edge of this card. Okay, just like that. So then the second one, we're going to flip, and this is going to go on the top of the card. So we're going to put it just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to put this piece in the center, and I'm going to actually line it up with the top edge because this bottom edge is not visible. So we're going to put our adhesive on the card. And you can flip this. Some of the splattering is going to be covered by the snowman, so whichever angle that shows the pieces that you like the best, is a good place to start. Okay, so we have all of those pieces done. I am actually going to go ahead just for spatial purposes, and I'm going to go ahead and do my sentiment. And this piece is just wide enough that you can use our narrow foam tape, whether you choose to use the thin or the regular, and it will go just like that. Then we're going to pull the film off, and I'm going to stick it up here in this corner. And I want to do that first so that I make sure that I have room for when I put my little snowman on, okay? So then I'm going to set this aside. Just going to scooch it up here a little bit, and I'm going to build my snowman. Now, my snowman is going glitter on glitter. So I am going to take a few extra precautions. I put my adhesive on it. Normally I would use glue dots, but they were out of stock. Get my glue going this morning. It doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on the bottom. And then I'm going to attach the glitter to the glitter. And the reason that I said to use the glue or mini glue dots is because sometimes it's tricky to attach glitter to glitter. We want it to stick. Now, if you look really closely, I don't know if they can catch that on the zoom in or not. I left a tiny parameter of the blue, the sapphire, showing when I put the white snow down on the blue. And that's just to give it a little bit of a shadow. You can do it on either side. So I'm actually going to slide it over so it's on the left side. And if you want it on exactly, you can do that as well. So that's what that is going to look like. Then we're going to take our little hat, and we're going to attach the hat with the small glue dots. Now I can see that it's going to be too narrow to get into that space. So when I cut mine, I actually cut it right on the carrier sheet. It makes it easier to pull off. And you want to make sure you get that a piece of tape on that little tip, because that is a little sensitive space. Okay, so we're going to pull this off just like that, and we're going to line up our hat. If you want to leave a little bit of that shadow, you can. If not, totally understandable. It works either way. Okay, so now our little snowman is done. We're going to flip him over, and we're going to add foam tape to the back of him. And I'm going to use the circles this time, just because they're easy, they're pre-cut, they're about the spatial that I want. I'm not going to really worry with his little arms because they are kind of in a safe space and they're very tiny, so it would be very intricate to be able to put the foam underneath those. But I found in the other one that they seem to be okay. They didn't seem to tear, and it also gives it a little bit more of dimension. Okay, so this is the tricky part. I'm going to slide this down. Now do know that all of your snowbanks were cut by hand with a thin cut, and I will show you that in a little while. But the thin cut was not long enough, so you have to joint it. And so do know that yours might be a little bit different than mine. I'm going to position this because I want him kind of tucked under that snowbank, but a little bit to the side. So I'm just using the snowbank to measure where the snowman is going to go, and then I'm going to press him down. And we're going to show you that thin cut in a second. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over my snowbank. I'm going to take a piece of foam tape and put it on the bottom all the way across the snowbank, and I'm going to snip it. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to see where else that I need to put it. And I'm going to kind of mark it with my finger. So I know I can go about 1/2 inch on this side because I don't want to pop the foam tape up over my snowman. That would be kind of tricky. So I'm going to do that, make sure it's all good. And then I'm going to kind of mark with my finger. It's on this hill for mine. Yours, of course, could change based on where your snowman is. Okay, so then I'm going to cut 2 little pieces. Put one there and one there so that the whole snowbank is popped up with the exception of where it overlaps my snowman. I'm going to pull this tape off. I love my foam tape. I use a lot of it. I love the fact that Close to My Heart has 2 sizes. They have, or 2 heights. They have a thin tape and a regular tape. I usually call the regular tape a thick. But then each set of that comes in 2 widths. So you have a narrow, which is the one I used, and then you have a wider. But one of the cool things about Close to My Heart is whether or not you use the thin tape as far as the rolls like this, or whether you use the dots. As long as you stay consistent with thin or regular, they're the same height. And a lot of companies aren't like that. So I find that incredibly valuable. Okay, so we have little snowman down. He's all built together. We have our sentiment, and now we have our snowbank. So then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna attach our 2, what I'm kind of calling my snow flurries. I'm gonna use my adhesive runner. You do wanna be careful because you don't want to tear it. Because they are, I mean, they're glitter paper, so they're sturdier, but they're also still fragile. And you're gonna just put that however it meets your desire. Whether you tuck it under this snowbank or not, that is up to you. These were cut on the Cricut. And I do not remember which cartridge, but I will make the file available to those who participated in the class. Or I will also have these available in my shop if you want to buy an extra set, or if you didn't participate in the event, you can buy 1 set and then get the file as well. Okay, so now we have all of our beautiful flourishes, and so then the fun part comes. Now your bluebell sequins are going to be in a little bag. I actually, if you're participating in this event, you received a whole bag to use through the different projects, but I am pulling mine just directly from this little cup. I like to use that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my glue and just go ahead and put my dots where I want them to be for my glue. And I'm just kind of scattering them along the flourishes wherever they best fit your needs. And then I'm going to do one more that I'm going to add a little bit of extra glue, so I'm going to squeeze harder on the top or the tip of my snowman's little hat. Now for that one, I wanted to use the dark, so there's lots of different ones, but I felt like that the dark sequins showed up the best up against that bluebell glitter. And you can use whatever size that you want. So I'm just gonna come and randomly, I wanna make sure that I use some different sizes and different shadings just to have some more variation. Now, some of you might do better using this handy dandy little tool. I do not. I am clumsy, and my fingers, I just don't have those pincher skills that I used to. So to me, it is more of a hassle, but a lot of people like using the piercing tool to pick up the sequins. I just do better with my fingers. Okay, so I did, you can do as many as you want. I did 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I missed this little guy down here. So let's find another one for that one. There are some white ones. I didn't personally care for the white ones as much with the French vanilla backing, but you of course could do whatever that you desire. I'm gonna put these back in the little lid. I use my craft lids for my craft jars when I'm using sequins, because then I can kind of sort through and pick the pieces that I want. Okay, so now that the card is almost finished, we're gonna go back with our diamond stickles. Again, you can use your waterfall that you received in your kit if you prefer that one. I didn't get that idea until after I'd done these cards, and I actually tried it with my ornament that we'll do later, and it was gorgeous. So you can do whichever you want. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the diamond because it is my all-time favorite. And when it dries, it's just gonna be very iridescent and very snowy, okay? So that is the finished, completed card for the first one. This is the Twinkle Twinkle card. So we're gonna set this out of our way, and we're gonna pull out our second card. Okay, so now we're gonna create the second card, and this is the You Melt My Heart card. It is the one with the hearts on it. And so I've already pulled out the pieces. You have a base that has been pre-stamped. You have 2 glitter strips. You're gonna have this long flourish. The same pieces that we had for our first card for our snowman. And then you're gonna have 3 mixed hearts, okay? So the first thing that you're gonna do with this one is you're gonna start at the top. And I already put the adhesive on this strip. So we're gonna adhere this to the top of our card. And I'm doing this way because sometimes, you know, our pieces cut to the left or the right of the blade. And when they do that, they cut a little bit short or a little bit long. And we don't want to have a gap in our card. So I'm going to adhere this part of the base. This is a piece of the pattern paper that I just stamped the little sentiment on. That is from the Elegant Snowflakes. I'm going to put the second piece on. So this is going at the bottom, and you will see that mine is a little bit short as far as the edge. So that's why I think it's good to start at the top. Now I can just simply take my card and trim that little bit of an edge off. You could do it on your trimmer. I have a really hard time trimming something that narrow. And then as I shut my card, I'm going to trim that as well, just to make that line up. Oops. Get that all even. Okay. So that is how we have that piece. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and adhere our flourish, because that is kind of the grounding point of our whole piece. So that is gonna go about like that, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing that we did before. We're gonna make our snowman. So I added a little bit of the adhesive. The only thing I don't like about this glue is once you've used part of it, it's a little bit harder to squeeze and get down the channel. But we're just gonna do a little bit of glue. Again, I would probably prefer the mini glue dots. Those are my go-to, but I was out of stock. Okay, so again, I'm gonna off-center him just a little bit. You can do it either way, or you can kind of break it down the middle. And then we're gonna do his little hat. I think the hat is just so adorable. Okay, and again, I want to cut a piece in half directly on the carrier sheet so that I can get a little bit of support on this hat. Sometimes when you cut it, it's easier to go ahead and pull off the film like I just did, because it just makes life a little bit easier. Okay, so now we're gonna attach the hat to our snowman, just like we did before. We're gonna flip him over, and we're gonna add our foam circles. And I like to do things like this with my cards. I like to make 2 or 3 that are similar, because I've already taken the time to design the elements, and it just makes my card making a little bit easier. If you like to give card sets for gifts, which I like to do that as well, this is a great, 3 or 4 cards is a great sampling to give to someone, and it's always cute when they, coordinate with each other. Okay, so this little snowman, I actually want at a little bit of an angle. So you can decide where in the flourish that you want him, but that works good for me. You're gonna find this heart, and this heart is, it's very intricate. So you wanna make sure that when you put your adhesive on, you hold it down so that it doesn't wiggle, and it's gonna go right over on the left, okay? So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on this heart, which is the bluebell. This one is gonna go flat, and it's gonna kind of go at an angle there. And then this one, which is the sapphire, we are actually going to pop up on foam. So I am gonna cut my foam and then cut it in half, longwise. And with doing that, I'm gonna just sort of anchor it. Be careful of your curvatures, because you don't want the tape to flip out or be seen on the other side. I'm gonna cut this one as well. Now I'm gonna show you a quick trick. If you do exceed it, you just flip it over and you trim it from the other side to make sure none of that white is showing through. Okay, so this one is going to overlap, and you can determine what angle, of course, that it overlaps. pull the film off, just like that. And it kind of goes just like that, okay? So then we're gonna come back, and this time we're gonna use 3. So I'm gonna put a dot here at the bottom, down here, up there, and then on his little hat. And we're gonna pull out the sequins again. Whoa, that one's way too big for that. So it's just gonna go right where it fell. I am good with that. One thing I do, I know I told you that I'm not very good at using the tool to position these, but I do like to use it to move them. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Okay, so if you put it down and you don't get it right where you want, you can use a little tool to slide it and not get glue everywhere, okay? So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take those stickles and again, go in the inside, just like that. Now we're gonna take the clear shimmer brush. Always wanna shake it before you use it. And I am gonna use the tip and just dab on some of these blue speckles. Just random, not a ton, and it's just a little teeny dot. It's gonna be a smaller amount of glitter than using the Stickles, but it is truly just to add a little bit of shimmer. And you can kind of see, I guess it looks like a watermark right now, but it will dry and it'll just be that tiny, tiny bit of glitter scattered around your card. So that is the completed version of You Melt My Heart. So we're gonna slide that out of the way, which leaves us one more. And this is the Warmest Wishes. So we're gonna pull that out of our bag. Just like this. So this one has a little baggie of your letters so that they did not get lost. You'll have some flowers, which we haven't used before. You'll have the 3 pieces of your snowman. Okay. You're gonna have this snowbank, 2 pieces of patterned paper, and then this piece of patterned paper, okay? So we're gonna start by attaching the narrow strip. Again, if you wanna flip these, you can. It's the same pattern on both pieces. Oops. So I'm gonna put that one down first. Then I'm gonna put this blue pattern, which I love the way it looks. It's so snowy. Now this one's gonna be okay if it has a gap in the center because your snowbank will cover your gap. So we're gonna put that there. And then I'm gonna put this at the bottom. And you'll see mine does have a gap. Okay, so that's what this is gonna look like. You can see mine's a little bit over, and that's what I was telling you, because they're hand cut, sometimes they're a little bit off. So you just flip it to the back side and trim it, and nobody would be the wiser, okay? So I'm actually gonna set this up at the top for a second, and we're gonna build our snowman. So just like before, we're gonna add the adhesive, a little bit of the glue. I think I need to order some more glue. Flip him over. And then we're gonna put our hat on, just like we did before. So these elements, the snowflakes, or this, excuse me, the flourishes and the snowmen come from Close to My Heart's Cricut Collections. So if you would like to recreate those, again, if you purchase this kit in any form, I will send you the file if you would like it. But you would need to have Close to My Heart's cartridges to be able to cut it yourself. And if you don't have those cartridges, you can go to my website at www.tanyasheridan.ctmh.com. You scroll down to the very, very bottom, And there you will see the little green Cricut bug. And if you select that, it'll take you to my affiliate link with Cricut. And there you can purchase any of the collections. And I will list which collections. I apologize, I do not remember off the top of my head where they all came from. I'm thinking the snowman might have come from Artistry, but I'm not 100% certain. Okay, so this time I'm gonna go ahead and put his little hat on and his little sparkle, because that's the only one that's on this card. I'm gonna slide him up and let him dry. Now, for this one, I wanted to show you, you do not have to do this. This is optional, but I'm gonna slide everything else out because I tend to get glitter happy. But on the snowbank for this one, I did not splatter it for you. So you can leave it as is if you want to. But if you want to splatter the snowbank, I'm using the Bluebell, and I'm just going to slightly tap it. Sometimes I like to do it up in the top just to get it going. And I'm gonna use my finger, okay? So I'm just gonna do a few splatters. Then I'm gonna come back with my clear. And again, I'm gonna do a tiny little bubble at the top to get it, ooh, that came a little bit far. To get it coming down. I'll probably go a little bit heavier on the clear because it gives it that iridescent shine. And then I'm gonna use the sapphire. And my sapphire is been well used. I do find that if you use a brand new juicy one, then you get usually more splattering than what you would desire. So just be super cautious if it's the first time that you've used that brush. Now I'm gonna discard my paper because I don't wanna set something else down on it and then mess it up. Ideally, you would let it dry a little bit more. I should have done the Martha Stewart thing, but that's okay. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and open up this little pouch, and we're gonna glue down all of our letters, okay? So you should have Warmest Wishes. And I'm just gonna secure these with a little bit of tape. We're gonna glue it right down at the bottom. Sometimes I spread mine out first. It just kind of depends, whatever is working for you, but I've cut these so many times and made so many of these that I kind of know what the spacing is, except I just lost it. There we go. Now, if your paper is still wet, be, careful. There's no right or wrong way. I don't feel like you have to get the adhesive over the entire letter. Just kind of the key points on it, and it'll be good. But if you are a Xyron person, I know John loves to use the Xyron. Some of the others of you like to. You could use your Xyron for those letters. That works too. Totally up to you and your preference. Whoops, that was the wrong E. So some of the letters duplicate. You could mix up the colors, I guess. I don't think I want to do that for this card, but that would be an option. We're going to slide this down here, and then we need our S. And we're going to put this right there. Now, so Wishes fits really, really nicely, okay? It fits perfectly. Warmest is a little bit longer, so you do want to be careful that you don't get ahead of yourself and not leave enough space between your letters, because if so, you don't want to run out. Now, I like using the Close to My Heart adhesive because if I do make a mistake and I don't leave enough room and I get too far over, I can simply lift up the pieces. Now this snowbank, I'm gonna interrupt myself for a second, is higher than my snowbank. So you might have to alter it. Again, they were all cut by hand, and it's a 2-cut piece. So this is what the die looks like. It looks like this. So you have to cut it once, and then you have to slide it over and cut it again. So I guarantee even if you bought 5 sets of this kit, no 2 of your snowbanks are going to be exactly the same just because of the way that they have to be cut. Okay, so if remember I already had a little bit of adhesive on my E. I'm going to do my S and my T. and then we're gonna put this little guy together. You could, of course, change the title. You could stamp something yourself. You could cut it with Cricut. These are Bluebell and Sapphire is the paper that I use, but you could stamp if you don't like my choice. Okay, so now we have that done. We're gonna do the same thing before with our little snowman, and just like how we did the banks on the other one. And again, you might have to switch yours up. Like I can pull my snowman down a little bit on this card that I'm making now because my snowbank is shorter than what the snowbank was in my original card. So just kind of adjust accordingly to where, you know, you can use the picture as a guide, but just know that your snowbanks might go in different directions or different heights. Okay, so we're gonna do that piece. Again, I'm gonna kind of feel it out. I can go about 1 inch on this side. I can leave a gap and then come along on this side. And before I reinforce, yep, I'm gonna make sure it works. Now, for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and come across the center again. And then I'm gonna do 2 pieces, just like we did with the other one, on the top of the bank itself. Now, you don't have to pull all of these off if you don't want to. That's totally up to you. I tend to. The reason that we're using so much is more for flatness and stability. You don't want it to be a valley and mountain where your piece is going up and down. And so this creates that flatness and that stability, but you don't necessarily have to pull all of that adhesive. I know some of my customers have arthritis and issues with their hands, and so that makes it a little bit tricky, but know that you don't have to do that. Okay, so then the last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add these snowflakes. Now, these already have adhesive on them. However, I have found that it is not incredibly sticky. So if it makes you feel better, you can add extra adhesive behind those, but the Stickles coming through does help secure them. So you'll notice that I am putting these on those white graphics, or snowflakes is what I'm calling them, that are already there. I'm putting them directly on top, with the exception of this one because my pattern isn't quite the same as what it was there. So then what I'm gonna do is, instead of just putting a dot in these little flowers, I'm gonna put the dot, but I'm gonna use the tip, and I'm gonna pull that Stickles to cover the vellum so that it looks like the whole snowflake was covered. You do wanna be careful. You don't wanna get it too heavy, because then it will splatter outside of the little flower that we were turning into a snowflake. But I'm just squeezing once and then using that tip, and hopefully you can catch that in the camera, to spread it. Okay? Now, if you wanted to go back, that is all that I did. But if you wanted to go back and add, which I will show you, whoops, without getting my hand in it, just a tiny little stickle to the center. We will do a variation of this card versus the original, so you can see what that would look like. So I'm just doing a tiny, tiny little dot in the center. So it still looks different, it's hard to get to that one up there, than the original with the flowers, but still equally cute. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the 3 cards from the Snowman Glitter Collection. Again, you can find all of the details for these at inallsassiness.com. And whatever you do, make your day sassy. Thanks, guys.